All right, let's talk about something that can make anyone a little nervous. Rental applications. You know that feeling, right? It's a mix of excitement for a new place and a little bit of anxiety about all the paperwork. Well, today we're going to completely demystify the home after home rental policy. We're turning all that confusing language into a clear, simple checklist so you can apply with total confidence.
So, here's the big question, right? Are you ready to apply? Let's figure out if you qualify. That's exactly what we're here to do. By the time we're done with this explainer, you're not just going to know the rules, you'll know exactly how you stack up against them. Think of this as your personal cheat sheet for getting approved. And here's our game plan. We've got 5 main checkpoints we're going to walk through. First up, the 3 big ones, the financial and background checks. Then, we'll cover what to do if you need a little help from a guarantor. After that, we'll get into the specific rules of the house. Fourth is a really important one, assistance animal accommodations. And we'll finish up with the final step, how to apply and what fees to expect. Let's dive right into checkpoint 1. Okay, checkpoint 1. We're calling this the 3 key checks, because honestly, this is the foundation of your entire application. It all boils down to 3 core things, your credit, your income, and your background. The first number you need to remember, like really burn this one into your brain, is 620. For a standard approval, Home After Home is looking for a minimum TransUnion credit score of 620. If you can nail this score, it's pretty much the fastest way to a smooth and easy application.
So, what happens if your score is just a little shy of that 620 mark? Say it's somewhere in the 600 to 619 range. First off, don't panic. You're not necessarily out of the running. You've got 2 potential lifelines. Option A is to find a qualified guarantor, and we'll break down what qualified means in a minute. Option B is you could offer to prepay 6 to 12 months of rent, but just keep in mind that second option is ultimately up to the property owner to accept.
All right, so a good credit score gets your foot in the door. The next step is proving you can comfortably afford the place. And it's not just about the size of your paycheck. It's all about the balance between your income, the rent, and any other debts you might have. So here are the 2 golden rules for affordability. First, your proposed rent can't be more than 25% of your gross monthly income. That's your income before taxes. Second, all your monthly debt combined, we're talking rent, car payments, student loans, the whole shebang, can't be more than 36% of your income. It's a simple formula, and it's just there to make sure you're not stretched too thin financially. The final piece of this first checkpoint is the background screen. And the most important thing to know here is that every single adult planning to live in the home has to go through it. They're basically looking for a few simple things: verifiable employment and income, a good history with previous landlords, and of course, no prior evictions on your record. Now, we have to be very direct and clear about this next point. The policy has a strict zero-tolerance rule for a few specific convictions. As you can see, any conviction for domestic violence, sexual violence, or arson will result in an automatic denial. This is a completely non-negotiable part of the screening.
Okay, on to checkpoint 2. So what happens if you don't quite meet those financial requirements on your own? Well, that's where a guarantor, who you might also know as a co-signer, comes into the picture. They can be your helping hand to get your application approved.
Now, here's the crucial detail about guarantors you have to know. The bar for them is set even higher than it is for you. While you need a 620 credit score and an income that's 4 times the rent, a guarantor needs a 680 score and an income of at least 5 times the monthly rent. They also have to be a U.S. resident, which makes sense because they're taking on full legal and financial responsibility for the lease right alongside you.
Okay, let's move on to checkpoint 3, the rules of the house. This section isn't about money, it's all about people. Specifically, how many people can legally live in the home. So, let's talk about occupancy limits.
The general rule of thumb, which comes straight from federal guidelines, is pretty simple. 2 people per bedroom. So a 2-bedroom apartment can usually house up to 4 people. Seems straightforward enough, right?
Well, not so fast, because there is a major local exception you absolutely have to know about if you're looking to rent in East Baton Rouge Parish. For that specific area, the rules change completely.
And here's the difference. You can just forget that federal 2 per bedroom rule here. The East Baton Rouge Ordinance says a maximum of 2 unrelated people can live in a single house.
period. It doesn't matter if it's a 5-bedroom mansion. 2 unrelated individuals, that's the limit. Home After Home is legally required to enforce this, and breaking that rule can lead to big fines or even eviction by the parish. This is a critical detail, especially for students or groups of roommates.
Moving on to checkpoint 4, and this is a big one that's often misunderstood: assistance animals. The policy here covers both trained service animals and emotional support animals.
Here is the single most important thing to understand. Under the Fair Housing Act, an assistance animal is not a pet. This means if you have a verified disability-related need for a service animal or an emotional support animal, an ESA, you cannot be charged any kind of pet fees or pet deposits.
However, this accommodation isn't a blank check. A request can be denied, but only for a handful of very specific reasons. And it's never about the breed. It's always about the individual animal. A request could be denied if that specific animal poses a direct threat to others, if it has a history of causing major property damage, if it's considered an exotic or wild species, or if its presence would actually cause the property's insurance to be canceled.
So, if you need to make this request, the process itself is pretty simple. You'll just need to complete the official assistance animal verification form. Your doctor or therapist will need to help fill out their part, and then you just email it over to the address you see right here.
We've reached our final stop, checkpoint 5. You've gone through all the criteria, you've confirmed you meet the requirements, so now it's time to talk about the final step, the application itself, and the fee that comes with it.
The application and screening fee is $32. It's really important to know that this fee is non-refundable and it's required for every single adult who will be living in the home.
And for the sake of total clarity, here's a key detail pulled directly from the policy itself. Home After Home doesn't actually keep any of this money. The $32 fee goes straight to the third-party screening company, TransUnion, to cover the actual cost of running your credit and background checks.
So there you have it, the 5 checkpoints that take you from applicant to resident. You know the numbers, you know the rules, and you know the exceptions. The rental game has a playbook, and now you know how to read it. So the question is no longer if you're ready to apply, it's where you'll choose to call home.